Finding activewear that fits well, feels comfortable, and works across different parts of the day isn't always simple for women. Today, we unpack what it takes to build a brand in this space with Harshita Motaparthi and Nadella from Mile Collective on Building Actually with Abhishansa. Hi Harshita, hi Pravish. So excited to have you both on the show to talk about the journey of building Mile Collective. So we have seen activewear explode over the last few years. More people working out, playing sports, and even just living in athleisure. But you entered in 2023 with Mile Active and with just a handful of products. Why do you think that was the right moment for you? And what did you see in this category that others were missing?
Essentially, the idea honestly started from a personal problem that I was facing. I've been active for the longest time doing some sort of workout, and I realized that I was always leaning towards activewear every time I got the chance to travel or if someone was visiting India. And especially during COVID, I think that was the time where, travel stopped, and just that accessibility was something that I was questioning a lot, and a time when I was wearing a lot more activewear than usual. And things like comfort and quality and breathable fabrics, all of this stood out to me a lot more. And yeah, it was honestly just a mix of all of that, just me not finding great quality activewear for myself. And as I spoke to people around me, for example, my mom and sister as well, they're also extremely fit and, have been working out for a long time. While we had different preferences, we still felt like we didn't have quality activewear for all of us, right? So that was honestly like a point where I started getting curious about the space. And I launched the brand under the name of Mile Active, ran it for about just a little over a year, honestly. And now when I look back, I actually look back at it as like a great pilot project in some sense, because it really gave me the opportunity to deep dive into the product and also speaking to customers that bought from us. So that was just like the research and the understanding that I could do at that point is something that is very, very invaluable to us today. So that's how the journey really started. And a year or just a little over a year after that, we decided to rebrand, and that's how it became Mile Collective.
So walk me through the shift from Mile Active to, Mile Collective. Why was that rebrand? Like just a rebrand, a repositioning, or, a deeper course correction? What were you trying to justify with that?
Yeah, to be honest, actually, the rebranding and pivot in some sense kind of happened at the peak of Mile Active sales, if you really had to put it that way. But I
Mhm.
just felt like the demand was there. The product fit really well into people's lives. People really liked the product we were putting out there. So after noticing that, I felt like it was the right time to scale, and it was also the time when a lot of international brands were entering India in some sense through marketplaces and all of that. And even within India, there were so many brands coming up. So I felt like it was really the right time to scale, and that's when
Mhm.
Pravishta also decided to come on board and join
Mhm.
in as a co-founder. And both of us really, really believed that there was a huge gap in activewear, which we've established through Mile Active. But like I said, we got the chance to speak to our customers and community members. And that's when we realized that while activewear has a lot of problem areas in India, there are other categories as well in the women's clothing space, functional clothing space, that have issues and gaps. So with the aim of kind of filling that up, we decided to expand. I wouldn't say we've pivoted in any sense, because the heart of the brand remains the same. We've
Mhm.
just decided to grow into more categories and expand the brand from there. And we felt like, why not, just we're in the middle of growing the business, let's rebrand it a little bit and just redefine what the brand stands for.
So how is Mile Collective different from Mile Active?
I would say, like I said, the heart of the brand remains the same. What we focus on remains the same. It started as a brand that wanted to bridge the gap of not finding good quality activewear in India. So we're doubling down on that. And we're also planning on bringing a few more categories in similar spaces. So I would
Mhm.
say the ethos remains the same, but it's just about capturing a bigger market, and just
Mhm.
delivering a lot more product than we had before.
Got it. So As you mentioned, a lot of brands were entering, a lot of international brands were entering the market, and a lot of Indian brands were also propping up during the same time. But what do you believe the Indian customers wanted? And if you see the space right now, there are a lot of activewear brands currently running. So, how do you guys differentiate on that?
I feel like there's space for multiple brands. India is such a huge country, and everyone's preferences in terms of what they want from their clothing is completely different. So there is space for so many brands to beautifully
Hmm.
coexist with each other. I don't doubt that. And you mentioned that a lot of international brands and like domestic brands are coming up. I think more than looking at it as competition, I think it's great because
Hmm.
that just goes to show that there's so much demand for such brands in India, and
Hmm.
there's space for everybody.
Okay. So, and at what stage did Samantha Ruth Prabhu come into the picture?
Yeah. Hey guys.
I
So,
just I just felt like I kept going on, so maybe Pravishta should also chime
Yes.
in a little bit.
Right.
Samantha came in the middle of our rebrand when we were transitioning from Mile Active to Mile Collective.
Mm-hmm.
The idea was to forge a very intentional partnership, which did not just have like a surface layer to it, but carried a lot of depth. In the sense that Samantha is involved in the design, the testing, and the approval of all our products. So
Mm-hmm.
it is from that lens that we decided to
Mm-hmm.
partner up with Samantha, and her image as somebody who's a huge proponent of wellness and a certain lifestyle. Definitely, it's something that plays very well with Mile Collective's brand. So that's when we decided to bring her on board as a co-founder.
Okay. And how do you ensure the brand doesn't become only celebrity driven?
So we do a lot of things differently from other celebrity-led brands, right? So one
Hmm.
is we are a brand that is multipolar in the sense that we have Harshita as a co-founder alongside Samantha. We also do a lot of on-ground activities that keeps the brand with the community. And
Hmm.
in addition to that, we also love doing a lot of unique creative shoots. Recently, we just did the coffee color drop, which was a huge success. So all of these things ensure that it's a multi-polar brand, and not a unipolar celebrity-led brand.
Hmm. Okay. And what's the advantage of having this kind of visibility very early on? And what's the actually downside of people don't really talk about?
So a big upside is obviously that a lot of people get to discover your brand early on. It brings incredible traction. A lot of doors open up. But where a few founders may tend to get lost is, in how quickly they need to scale up and meet expectations. I think that's a downside that a lot of people overlook. And also, how do you use that initial traction in order to build a long term business that actually sustains? That's the real challenge, right? So I think that's the downside of having a celebrity co-founder.
No. Harshita, you spoke about that you were not finding the quality product for yourself. How does you ensure that your brand has a quality, and what was Indian market lacking at that moment that you aim to solve?
I think, yeah, I think at that point, especially when I was starting out, like I mentioned, it was really from a personal problem and honestly a passion for the space. And
Mm-hmm.
I was exposed to trying a lot of international activewear brands throughout my life up until then. And quickly
Mm-hmm.
realized that quality is a big mismatch. The
Mm-hmm.
brands, of course, things have changed now, and there's so many wonderful brands coming up every other day. But quality is something that was a factor that stood out to me. And another thing is a lot of brands focus on quality and not so much on design, or the other way around, right? Like it might
Mm-hmm.
look great but not feel as good, or feel amazing but it may not look good. And I personally felt like it goes hand in hand. Even when we were speaking to our existing community members or focus group members that we keep adding on to, we just wanted to kind of give equal importance to comfort, performance, and design, which I felt like was a big factor missing in Indian brands, which we were getting
Mm-hmm.
abroad. So that was like a turning point. And even now, when we work on new products, we look at these
Mhm.
3 years equally, which, in my opinion, a lot of brands tend to skip. And, the focus is a little bit different.
Got it.
And
So, hmm.
yeah, sorry. And I was just saying, another big factor is durability. For us, that's really important because, especially when it comes to activewear and athleisure, they're pieces that you wear every other day. You put it through a lot of wash cycles and movement, like you're stretching in them, you're sweating in them. So they are technical products at the end of the day. And a lot of international brands offer great durability, which again, I felt like was something that was missing in Indian brands, which is something we're really trying to tackle.
So what I currently feel while observing all the brands, I would say most of the brands, the international brands had a lot of polyester in them. And Indian brands, Indian summers are not for polyester.
Hmm.
We cannot survive in polyester kind of material. But now the change, what I'm saying, Indian brands are fixing this problem with their product. The other problem that we see is spilling of products, after few washes, the color washes off, there are some pillings that happen. Then there are length problem, and
Hmm.
the that every body type is not similar, so some of the brands are targeting that. Then there are these roll up problems, they, if you exercise, the band usually rolls down the body.
Yeah,
So these are some problems that, as a person living in India, experiencing international and homegrown brands, there is still the problem. If
yeah,
we feel that we are still facing, and there is not just one brand we are able to fix on, that this is the great brand that your customers can rely on. And then comes the pricing. A lot of chatter is also going about how the pricing can be for the regular people, how workout cannot be just a place, only it can not have a premium level mass appeal for it, a premium or mass appeal to it. So that's a conversation I want to deep dive on with this, with your product, and understand where do you guys come in, what is the with the product, where are you catering to?
yeah. I think both of us can take that because it's a long question and I have a lot to
Yes.
say. So I think in terms of problems, sizing is definitely a big factor because while
Mhm.
we're talking about these international brands, Indian body type is very, very different. And it's
Mhm.
also in many ways very region specific because
Mhm.
honestly, there's is just a huge variety here in terms of weather, body types, all of that, right?
Yeah.
Aware of that. So when we started, we honestly have about 4 sizes right now, but the plan is to expand and grow. We
Mhm.
wanted different lengths, not just when we say we want to grow in size, we just don't mean from like an L to an XL and double XL. That's obviously something that we're focusing on, but even different lengths for leggings and shorts, like you mentioned. Like personally, I'm a little taller than the average Indian height, and I feel like most leggings fall short for me, or flare
Mhm.
pants fall short for me, and it is a problem, right? Like sometimes I love the product and the length bothers me
Mhm.
because it's not what I'm paying for. So there are a lot of problems when it comes to sizing, and as a young brand, we're doing our best to keep up with it, and the
Mhm.
end goal is for us to be as inclusive as possible. But yeah, we're on the path to that. And in terms of fabrics, weather, and polyester, I think even right now there's a big debate about polyester and non-polyester activewear. There is a
Mhm.
lot of information and misinformation in my perspective. I feel like the quality of the fabric is something that is extremely important. For example, we as of today don't use any polyester, but we use nylon, the a really really high quality of nylon. And we've also tested it for PFAs, PPAs, and like any harmful dyes, chemicals, azo
Mhm.
dyes. We've pretty much tested it for everything. And the goal is obviously, while we're building a brand for India, we need to make sure it's also very safe to use. The debate about cotton activewear, again, it is personal preference. There's no one size fits all. It really depends on what women are feeling comfortable in. But the brand that, I'll just speak for Mile and not for other brands. There is a lot of technical difficulty that comes with cotton based activewear. for light activities like walking and yoga and light stretches, it is beautiful. It's amazing. But for something that is a little more performance driven, and where a lot of movement and sweat is involved, it tends to weigh it down. So, for example, if you're going on a run and you wear cotton, the sweat is not absorbed and it adds a lot of weight to the fabric. So it goes both ways. It's really personal preference. What we can do as a brand is make sure that every product we put out there is extremely safe for people to use. But yeah, it is really personal preference at the end of the day. Yeah. Do you
Correct.
want to add that?
I think you pretty much covered all the
Yeah.
bases there.
Yeah. And of course, India is like the weather is completely different. So we're making sure that our fabrics are extremely breathable. They absorb sweat, moisture, all of that very quickly.
Mhm.
Again, in when we talk about international brands, of course, they don't keep our weather conditions in mind while making fabrics, right? So there is definitely that difference. And we're trying to be mindful of who we're building for when we're building these products.
So you spoke about Indian bodies. So what did you learn after real customers starting using the product? They tried and they tested. What was the feedback like? How was the acceptance like?
I think in terms of the fabric, most Indian women that we spoke to, they just want something that doesn't trap any sort of sweat and doesn't make them feel extra hot, because we're already
Mhm.
in a very hot climate. So something that feels light and soft on the skin. And I think color preference is another difference. In India, a lot of people prefer darker colors when it comes to activewear, but it really depends, right? So what we can do as a brand is make sure that we have a collection for all. And
Mhm.
in terms of body type as well, there are certain I mean, we do have a focus group where we put all our products through test, and even when we're designing, we speak to a lot of people. So
Mhm.
we get a lot of interesting insights from them, and that's honestly how we build the products that we do.
And I think the biggest metric is going to be how many customers are returning the product, right, or exchanging the product because of size related issues or because they're not happy with the product. So we currently are at 1/5 the industry average on those numbers. So that really
Mhm.
shows how well the product has been received by our customers, and
Mhm.
how we have managed to crack sizing and quality expectations.
Okay. So, Pravish, was there a channel or strategy you thought would crack but didn't actually?
Not really, because we went in with a very simple thesis that if we put out a great product, then and with Samantha's ability to amplify its reach, there's
Mhm.
obviously nothing to stop us. So that's the fundamental thesis with which we built the business on day zero, and it's worked out really well.
Got it. Who is your actual customer today? Not just who you want to target or you planned for, but who is really buying for you? What is there a customer amusement that you got? That this is a sector which who is buying for you from you.
We've seen that a lot of people from tier three towns or cities are actually coming in and buying quite a bit of activewear. So that was
Mhm.
something that surprised us, and we did not expect it.
Mhm.
Uh, but it's great to see that women from all across India are moving and getting fit, and they are aspiring to live a certain kind of lifestyle. So that's really awesome, and we did not expect that,
Yeah.
to be honest.
And what? Who was the initial TG like?
We initially thought women between 20 to 40 from tier 1 and tier 2 cities. Uh,
Mhm.
that was initially the idea. But
Mhm.
yeah, over the course of time, we saw that, yeah, that the real market was much broader, and our acceptance is much broader than we had initially anticipated.
So, what do you think actually drives the purchase decision for a consumer?
I think what drives the initial purchase decision is definitely aspiration. Uh, they everybody wants to, lead a certain kind of lifestyle, and our clothes are a big reflection of that, right? Be it at work, be it at play, be it at home. You dress a certain way because you you want to communicate to the world a few things. Uh, yeah, so I think that's one of the biggest drivers of purchase decisions. And then comes the why do customers come back and buy again
Yeah.
from your brand? And I think that comes down to your ability to meet expectations at a certain price point. So if a customer feels like you've managed to deliver on quality that is proportionate to the price that you're charging, and also your brand carries a certain aesthetic, they're bound to come back to you.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add to that. So even as of today, whenever we notice a lot of customers coming back to buy again and again, I actually reach out to them personally to just kind of thank them and also understand what's making them come back, because we feel like it's important to understand why people are returning products if they are, and also why people are coming back to make purchases. And in the email responses, 90% of the customers always say, we're coming back because we really like the quality. Like, we've tried the product once, and we're coming back again because it really ticks all the boxes for us. So that's, yeah, I think when it comes to like purchase decisions and why people are buying something, I think at the end of the day, it's all about the quality, right? You may package it a certain way, you may market it a certain way, but if your quality doesn't stand the test of time, then no one's going to come and make another purchase.
Got it. So when you launched, you said you with Mile Active you were focusing on activewear. So now where are you heading? Are you building more of a performance wear, everyday wear, or lounge wear? How are you heading?
Yeah. So initially with Mile Active, it was just activewear, and even now, again, if you look at our collection, it is mostly activewear. But in terms of the collections, we actually consciously decided to launch with an activewear collection that is extremely versatile, because when we were doing our research and speaking to people, we realized that today a lot of women do multiple activities. It's not just a straightforward, yes, I go to the gym, or yes, I run. Women are doing three, four
Hmm.
different types of activities, be it running, be it playing pickleball, or things like that. So we wanted to create activewear that worked for everything. So our first collection is called On the Go, which is essentially for women on the go, doing a lot of activities, doing a lot of things in your day, multitasking, leading busy lifestyles. And our next collection is something that's going to be a little bit more high performance, because while right now our activewear you can do a lot in it, there are a lot of people that want something with a little bit more performance as well. So in activewear itself, there's a lot for us to work on and build on. So that's the focus right now. And we're also getting into athleisure. That's a really big category for us, because I feel like activewear and athleisure, again, blurred lines, right? It's something that people wear throughout the day. Earlier, when we thought of activewear, it was just for that 1 or 2 hours of your activity in the day. But now people tend to live in it for, it's clothing beyond the gym. So we're trying to build a really nice athleisure collection as well that goes hand in hand with what we already have.
So what's your strongest category currently?
The strongest category for us today is leggings. That is the hero product and does exceptionally well for us, and also has the highest satisfaction in terms of like just from product reviews and customer feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's a product that we put a lot of care and attention to detail into, primarily because it's one area where we notice that most women have a lot of issues and complaints. So we addressed all of those issues, and then we also focused on durability to ensure that the leggings will continue to perform for whoever purchases them for years to come, not just lose their shape or lose compression after a few washes. So the leggings are definitely our hero product so far.
So what do you think you do better than others in this space?
I think it's the moat what we have created is that we
Mhm.
honestly just listen to the customers and what they want. When
Mhm.
customers complain that they don't like the fact that their leggings lose shape after a few washes, it's direct feedback that's coming to you, and you have to incorporate it. And what
Mhm.
we also believe, and what we do think slightly differently from other brands in the category, is that we don't necessarily think that Indian women as consumers are price conscious as much as they're value conscious.
Mhm.
So we put out a product that is going to meet all of their expectations, and albeit at a slight premium to our competition.
Mhm.
And we know that it is going to be worlds apart at the end of the day. So
Mhm.
that I think it is in just listening to our consumers, and in that philosophy that women are inherently value conscious and not price conscious, that the differentiation lies.
I understand. So, what's harder than it looks while building in this category and this kind of product space?
I think the hardest thing is just aligning so many moving parts together. You have to bring together like
Mm-hmm.
many different things, not from the product design to the manufacturing to the fabric to quality control to logistics, and you have marketing and PR and creative. So yeah, at any given point of time, you have 10 different streams that are running, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's very hard just bringing everybody onto the same page across. I think we have teams working all the way from Australia to China to India to the US. So it's just bringing everyone onto the same page is the hardest part.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I agree what Pravishta is saying, but a slightly different take is also in terms of like interacting with our customers, right? We, through our marketing and communication, we can tell them that, our fabric is our USP and it's really truly soft. We can tell them all of that, but since we're a D2C brand, I mean, we're an e-commerce brand, until they make that purchase, they really can't experience what we're telling them, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
is also a challenge. They're not able to feel the fabric, they're not able to try the product until they buy it. Of course, once they buy it, we're very flexible with like exchange policy, return policy, all of that, like other e-com brands. But I think that is like something that we're focusing on, because we also do a lot of offline activities. We've done about we're a 3 month old brand post the rebrand, and we've done three offline events already. And
Mm-hmm.
just the way the customers react when they touch the products that we have on display,
Mm-hmm.
that's something that we can't do just as an online business all the time, right? So that's a challenge for sure.
And getting customers is a difficult thing. So how do you get, the first few set of customers, who trust your brand, who buy your product? How do you, earn trust from them?
I think honestly, what when you said trust, I think what came to my mind is what is really making them come back to us. That is something more exciting to me. As we've established with Samantha being on board, there are a lot of eyes on the brand, and a lot of people are very excited and curious to try.
Okay.
But the exciting part is just the number of people coming back to buy something because they've experienced the product once.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, having said that, in a space that is very like growing rapidly and crowded, it is very difficult for online businesses to acquire a lot of customers. I think that's a challenge that's across industries today.
And adding on to that, in order to build trust with your community, the biggest thing is going to be to accept the fact that as a business, any business, you will have certain areas where you might end up making a mistake, or your product quality may just not be up to the mark. And in those instances, it is extremely important to own up to it and ensure that you fix it
Yeah.
at no additional cost to your consumer. So one of the
Mm-hmm.
early things that we did at my was ensure that it is just as easy to return the product or exchange
Yeah.
the product as it is to buy the product. We
Got it.
kept it very straightforward, streamlined that whole process. And not only that, we do a lot of little things that build trust and build the community spirit. For instance, with every third order, for instance, Harshita personally writes an email to the customer asking them
Mm-hmm.
what they liked and what they did not like, and that sets off a direct line to the founder.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone from the from a hospitality background, I pay special attention to ensuring that our top customers are feeling included in the brand journey as we grow. So if you're doing an
Mhm.
event in a city, we ensure that the top customers in that city get a personal invitation from the brand to the event. So
Mhm.
it's just these little things that go so a
Yeah.
very long way in building community and that rapport.
Yeah, like for example, for the coffee launch that we just had, which is
Mhm.
another interesting colorway in our existing products, we sent a lot of PR packages to influencers and content creators so they could experience the product and build brand awareness. But in our list of PR outreaches, 50% of the list or a little more actually were customers that shopped from us, because at the end of the day they're the ones that are really appreciating the product a lot more and really putting in a lot of time to find something and putting in their hard-earned money, and we really
Mhm.
appreciate that as well. So just to show a little bit of appreciation, and we also want them to experience the new products that we're putting out there, so we've sent a lot of our customers PR packages. And I don't think it's, I mean, a lot of people might look at it as just like a marketing thing, but we were so excited to just do that and hear back from how excited the customers were to receive that surprise. So little touch
Mhm.
points like that definitely help. And in a lot of ideas that the marketing team and all of us, whenever we discuss ideas, we also look at it from the perspective of, if I was a customer, what would make me happy and what would not, right? So whenever we
Mhm.
look at it from that lens, I think that answers a lot of questions for us as a brand.
And where does the discovery happen for you, and where does the actual conversion happen?
So right now we are live only on our website. We are not live on
Mhm.
any of the marketplaces yet.
Mhm.
So the conversions are all happening on our website itself. And
Mhm.
Instagram is a great platform for us. That's where we primarily communicate with our audience and run a lot of ads and do a lot of
Mhm.
marketing there. So that is our number one channel. Apart from that, we are also really keen on doing offline events, but having said that, we don't look at that as a conversion space. We kind of look at that as a space where we bring people together,
Mhm.
engage with our community one on one. So these are like the two touch points that we have. But yeah, from a pure conversion point of view, it would be Instagram and our website.
So, what do you think about e-commerce space, or fastest delivery options like quick commerce, Zillow, etc.?
I think quick commerce is a very important channel for any brand today. Uh, yeah, it allows for incredible flexibility. It allows for customers to experience a product instantly, and it's definitely a channel that cannot be ignored. So it's something we are still exploring, and it's early days for apparel. So yeah, let's see how it shapes up.
Mhm. And how much of the growth realistically comes from having a celebrity co-founder, versus your own channel?
I think having a celebrity co-founder instantly puts your brand in front of millions of eyeballs. So
Mm-hmm.
that's an asymmetrical advantage to any brand. Only thing is you have to be sure about your product. If you have a bad product, that means you're also amplifying the message about a bad product. If you have a good product, you're amplifying that. So yeah, you definitely get a huge benefit from having a celebrity co-founder.
Yeah, but I also feel like there needs to be a really good match between the product and the celebrity. In our case specifically, Samantha has been in the wellness space for as long as you can remember, right? Like way before. I mean, her first brand or just like anything that she's a part of has always been around wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just feels like a very natural fit. And I think for people, it definitely brings in a lot of trust, credibility, and relatability, because when a lot of people think of Samantha, they think of health and fitness, apart from all the lovely movies and all of that, right? So it feels like a great natural extension, and that I think is something that's very important.
And what are the main revenue drivers for Mile Collective today? Which
Uh,
categories, contribute to the most?
It's the
the
leggings, yeah,
bottoms,
the
yeah.
bottoms. That's the
Mm.
main revenue for us. But over the course of time, we will be expanding into other things as well, not just activewear, right? So we have plans to move into athleisure and other
Mhm.
allied categories. So over the course of time, we may see that contribution from leggings diminish.
Mhm.
Yeah, but as of today, I would say leggings,
Yeah.
and that makes me very excited because it is my favorite product as well.
There has been a lot of conversation around pricing in activewear as we were talking about. Where is Mile Collective position today?
I, the idea is not to price it relative to other brands, but to price it independently to ensure that we are able to get a good product out to the market. So, in that sense, we price to ensure that we deliver value to the customer.
But still, there would be a segment if you could, denote yourself to. Where would Mile Collective stand
I,
out?
I think for a majority of India, it's going to be it's a premium brand for sure.
Mhm.
When we don't compromise with the product and we're saying that we're only delivering what is the best, it's naturally a premium brand.
What do you think about building a premium segment, in the market like India? What does it take? How much perseverance or what is the logistics behind?
I think Pravishta touched upon this topic briefly earlier, but I feel like there is a big misconception that Indians are price sensitive. It's not price sensitive in our opinion. If someone sees the value in something, they are okay purchasing something. It might take a little bit more time for them to convert as a customer, but
Mhm.
people are really looking for value these days. It's not just about how much can I get 10 pieces for X price. It's more so like, if I'm paying a certain price, is the product delivering in terms of quality? Is it ticking all my boxes? Am I getting a product that I can use for years to come, so I don't have to keep going back and buying something again and again? That is
Mhm.
something that we did notice, because even when we speak to our customers now, obviously pricing is also something that we keep talking about, because as a brand we don't do a lot of deep discounting, and so naturally we speak to our customers about pricing and all of that. And
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of people see the value in it, so even yeah, they come back for the value that we're giving.
And what's so expensive in this business that people usually don't see?
I think content and influencer marketing. I mean, it's amazing. It's a great tool, and we love working with the creators we've been working with. Like it's honestly a lot of fun, because a lot of creative
Hmm.
juice is flowing, and we're always exploring different ideas. But yeah, it's definitely something that is expensive. Marketing naturally is a big expense for us.
As you're growing, as you're scaling, what's becoming harder to, tap into?
I think as you scale, the one thing that gets harder is staying in loop with your customers. There are more
Mhm.
degrees of separation as your organization grows, your business grows. There are more
Mhm.
degrees
Mhm.
of separation between you and your user.
Mhm.
I think that's something that every founder should be mindful of. That
Yeah.
you shouldn't lose touch with ground reality and, most importantly, your customers and your community.
Yeah, honestly, with Mile Active initially before we rebranded and all of that, because it was at a much smaller scale, I had the flexibility to pretty much reach out to almost anyone that ordered from us or started following us, and that, like I said, shapes the business that we're building today. But now, as we scale, sometimes it's difficult to really keep up with. A lot of the customers that are coming back to us, but we try to I mean, we make a conscious effort to know who's coming back to us, or like customers that probably are dissatisfied with something that we've delivered. We try our best to be in touch with as many people as possible. But yeah, that's something that at scale is a little challenging for sure. And sometimes I miss it, because earlier I would compare it to how it was earlier, where I would just send someone an Instagram message and saying, hey, thank you, but tell me what you like and don't like. Now obviously it's not that simple anymore, but we still try.
Got it. So, as there are three of you, what really works well because of that, and what makes it a little difficult? And how you guys are complementing your backgrounds of work.
I think all of us come with a different skill set, and we all have our strengths and weaknesses. I'm someone that deals with the product and marketing a lot more, and Samantha is honestly the best user of the product. I'm not even joking. The attention to detail that she has every time we give her a sample, it's not just like, oh, hey, I've done a workout and this is what I feel. It is like detailed to the T, saying, I have
Mhm.
put this sports bra in the washing machine these many times and this is what happened. That's the level of feedback that we get from her, because she is very, very active. Every single day she's, working out or playing pickleball. She's always active and on the go. So that kind of feedback is something that really shapes the product. And she also always comes back with a lot of fun marketing ideas and things that we can do for the community in terms of events or any activation. So both of us kind of deal with that side of the business, and Pravishta has a completely different skill set. So I think all of us balance each other really well, and yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very important to have founders who complement
Mhm.
each other with different skill sets.
Good.
But it also what also matters is temperament. I think it's very important to have founders who are complementary not just in skill set but also temperament.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there is no real chemistry to get the business
Yeah.
going.
Yeah, and I think another great thing that I really, really am grateful for is the three of us as founders, and also every single person that works with us in building Mile. Everyone is just as excited and as passionate about what we're building, and I think that makes a huge difference. If
Mhm.
we're able to sit here and have this conversation, right, that's because everyone that's a part of Mile is giving their 100%. So yeah, I think everyone has a really important role to play.
So we move on to next quicker segments, like very short. I would expect very quick answers from you. Um, so this is founders' mistakes to avoid, according to your experience. One thing founders should spend more on, and one thing less on.
I
In time or capital depends on what you're referring to.
Yeah, I think the answer depends on that.
Yeah,
Where did money quietly get wasted?
I don't think money has been wasted anywhere so
Yeah.
far. We're too
Mhm.
early in our journey to have made any such mistakes where we can really point and say that money has been wasted. But I'd also like to add to that point, stating that it's never a waste of money. It's only a waste of money if you don't look back and learn from it. That's really when money's gone down the drain. But if there's something that you can take away from it, then I think it's money well spent at the end of the day.
And what's one thing you scaled too early?
One thing that we've scaled to early,
I'm trying to think.
I yeah. So we have kept our organization very small. I think what I've seen other founders do is that they scale up their organization much faster,
Mhm.
expecting that you need to have that wherewithal and the organizational depth in order to scale. But
Mhm.
in reality, you just need, I think in the early days, you just need like five good people by your side, and you can pretty much scale a business to 50, 60 crores in revenue before you need to go out and build that organizational depth.
Got it. And one assumption you got completely wrong.
I think our answers would be different. But for me, I would say work life balance. It's something that, before starting, I've read a lot on, LinkedIn, and like heard a lot of founders' podcasts. And it's something that a lot of people say, like strive for that work life balance, because a lot of experienced founders say that's something they struggle with. I never understood it until I fully got into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely say that's something.
And is there something you invested in that didn't move the needle?
I don't think so. Again, there are a lot of things that we've invested in where we look at it as a long-term game for
Hmm.
us. Where,
Hmm.
yeah, so sometimes something that we've put a lot of time, effort, capital into may not have resulted in like a quick ROI at that point, but we believe that we're in it for the long run.
And was there a moment or a data or a feedback that misled you?
Misled us. Hmm.
Um,
I thought of. You want to take it? I
yeah,
lost
I
track.
think just looking at I think over reliance on data to predict things sometimes just does not work out. So I think that.
Yeah, like for example, in our hero product right now, our leggings, which we've talked a lot about, we have a lot of colors. And before we launched, we just chose colors that we felt like would really work, and we wanted to pick data and then build our business on that. Colors that we didn't expect to really pick up as hero products did. So yeah, sometimes it's just a lot of learning on the go. It was a
Yeah.
surprise, like a really bright color became our number one color, which we really didn't expect. But I mean, it's a great insight, so we're doubling down on that.
Amazing. And this segment is called as Founder 101. If someone wants to build in this space, where should they start from?
I think the first place to start would be to understand your wedge in the market. Where can you get an entry point? What is the
Mhm.
real pain point that you're going to solve with, and with what innovation, right? The way that Mile Active was built was by finding the problem, that is the lack of great quality and accessible activewear made for Indian women, and
Mhm.
solving that by innovating on fabric, on design, and bringing out a product that really solved a genuine
Mhm.
issue for customers. And
Mhm.
once you acquire those customers, you can start selling other things to them that again solve for genuine needs. So I think that's the most important thing, finding that entry point.
What should they get right in the first 6 months?
I think getting something right in the first 6 months is very subjective, but I think the adaptability is something that we've learned, and is something that comes in handy. Like the first 6 months, even for us, we had a lot of plans, and as naturally as any business does, and most of what we had in mind like it's been according to plan. But obviously there are challenges that you don't expect that just crop up. There are things that you need to quickly adapt to. So yeah, I think first 6 months are never exactly as per plan for
Mhm.
any business across any industry.
I think first 6 months it's just
Learning.
no, none of that.
No.
Just establish product market fit.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't think your P&L matters, your cash flow
Mhm.
matters, your pricing strategy matters. None of that matters. You're too small, barely a few hundred people know you. Just spend the first 6 months figuring out whether your product has a market and whether people are
Mhm.
willing to pay for it. That's it.
Yeah.
I think
That's
that's
yeah,
the first
that's
6 months of
that's
any
essentially
journey.
what we did with Mile Active, right? Like even at the start of the call, I said now when I look back, it's kind of like a pilot project that I ran, and that year and a half it just changed the way we're looking at Mile Collective today. So once we realized that there was a great product market fit there, we understood where to double down on, and what to do, what not to do. So yeah, I think product market fit, like Pravishta said, is the most important, because if that's not there, then what are you really working
Yeah.
towards?
And when is the right time to build a team?
I think the right time to build your team is when you've established that there is product market fit.
Mhm.
You need to be on this front. Just look at your numbers, your KPIs, and
Mhm.
for each product, there's a varying set, right? I can speak in the context of Mile, where we look at how the return to vendor rate, which is how many people are returning the product because they did not like it or for whatever
Mhm.
reason, and then we benchmark it with the industry average. Like I said, we are at about 20% or one fifth of the industry average. So that means that we have great acceptance. And then we look at our returning customer rates. How many people are coming back and buying the product again within a certain time frame? We are close to double the industry average at
Mhm.
every point in that time frame. So we have great product market fit, and now we know that we can start hiring people and building the team, putting in place certain systems that will help us scale into a multi-million dollar business.
Got it. And what do you think is the signal that you are on the right track? There is a product market fit.
I
Uh,
think the customers that are coming back to buy again and again, right?
yeah,
Like when
I
we look at
think
that.
it's just three or four KPIs. I don't think it's very complex for any product out there. You just need
Mhm.
to understand what are those four KPIs and just hyper focus on them.
Oh, okay. I think what really stood out for me in this conversation is how layered this category actually is. Activewear and performance wear looks very simple from the outside, but when you break it down, it has a lot of nuances to it. It sits at the intersection of performance, everyday comfort, pricing, and how you built it and how your customers are important. So how people live in these products, it's a great insight, and I am so grateful to the both of you. I appreciate you guys taking out some time for this discussion, opening up candidly, responding to my questions. Thank you so much for being here on the show.
Thank you so
Thank you
much
so much for
for
having
having us.
us.
Yeah, it's been fun, and yeah, thank you so much for taking out the time.
Thank you for listening to Building Actually with Abhishansa. I'll see you in the next episode.